the Gates Tuesday, June 10th. Explosive turns in Fairmont Crest. Tuesday's episode of Beyond the Gates does not waste a second. Every scene punches hard, emotions cut deep, and secrets don't stay buried. This week, Fairmont Crest reaches boiling point. As the Hamilton family fractures, old flames flicker back to life. And guilt begins to eat away at the very people who've always appeared the strongest. Chelsea Hamilton's descent, Naomi's guilt spiral, and Donnie Dupree's complicated entanglements make for a storm that no one saw coming but now no one can avoid. Chelsea Hamilton spirals and finds an unexpected ally. Chelsea Hamilton isn't just struggling, just unraveling. Her perfectly constructed world has come undone piece by piece, and Tuesday marks the moment when the damage becomes impossible to hide. She walks into the dim light of Montrose Bar, her usual armor of composure cracking, and that's where she finds Madison Montgomery. Madison wasn't supposed to be there. In fact, the last time Chelsea had even seen her was during the charity gala last winter, and they hadn't said much beyond tight-lipped pleasantries. But something's different now. Maybe it's the way Madison sees Chelsea without the judgment or pity Chelsea has come to expect from everyone else. Or maybe it's just that Madison, who's been through her own hell, understands what it means to lose control. They don't talk about anything big at first. It's just drinks, laughter that sounds a little too loud, stories that try to pass for lighthearted. But then the floodgates open. Chelsea starts to share about the pressure, about her father, about the nagging voice in her head telling her she's never enough. Madison listens, and more than that, she stays. She doesn't flinch when Chelsea reaches out, doesn't recoil when vulnerability slips through the cracks. It's not just a connection, it's a shift. And it might be the first time in weeks that Chelsea feels like she's not drowning alone. But nothing in Fairmont Crest stays simple. Chelsea's closeness to Madison could stir up a fresh batch of problems, especially if someone else takes notice. And in this town, someone always does. Naomi Hamilton's guilt grows heavier by the hour. Meanwhile, across town, Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne is breaking in a different way. She's holding onto guilt like it's the only thing keeping her grounded. Her father, Bill Hamilton, suffered a stroke. A sudden, jarring emergency that pulled the rug out from under the entire family. But for Naomi, it's not just shock, it's shame. They'd been arguing. Not just the usual tense exchanges, but full-blown shouting matches. Bill's decision to leave Donnie for Haley, and then marry Haley while she was already pregnant, lit a fire under Naomi. She couldn't forgive him. Not then. She saw it as a betrayal not just of Donnie, but of the whole family. And now all she can think is, what if their last conversation was too much? What if it pushed him over the edge? It's Vernon Dupree, Naomi's grandfather, who steps in when he senses she's not just upset, but teetering on a collapse. Vernon's lived long enough to see how life can twist without warning. He's calm, steady, the kind of presence Naomi needs but resents. He tries to talk her down, reminding her that strokes aren't caused by words or arguments, that sometimes the body gives out no matter what you do. But guilt is a stubborn thing, and Naomi's heart won't let go of the idea that her father's suffering is, in some cruel way, her fault. The deeper Naomi goes into her guilt spiral, the more she begins to isolate. She can't look Chelsea in the eye. She doesn't return texts from Donnie. And when she sees Haley at the hospital, distant, protective of her position as Bill's current wife, Naomi can't even summon the strength to fight. She just walks away. Donnie Dupree caught between two lives, but if anyone is caught in the middle of the Hamilton chaos, it's Donnie Dupree. Twice now, she's been at Bill's bedside. Not because she was invited as she needed to be. Because some part of her still belongs to that man, even after everything that's happened. She plays the part of the devoted caretaker well. She brings him home-cooked meals to the hospital, holds his hand when he can't find the words, calls the nurses when something doesn't look right. But she's not his wife anymore. Haley is. And Haley's patience is wearing thin. Haley doesn't say much at first, but her eyes follow Donnie wherever she goes. The quiet resentment grows louder with every whispered conversation between Bill and Donnie, every soft touch, every shared history that Haley will never be able to match. Donnie tells herself it's about helping, about making sure Bill is okay, but there's more than that. Old feelings don't just vanish, and Donnie knows she's lying to herself when she says this is just concern. And then there's Andre Richardson. Andre has been patient. Too patient. He's waited for Donnie to take their relationship seriously, to stop treating him like a placeholder for something she's not ready to face. But Tuesday is his breaking point. He sees how Donnie lights up around Bill, how her eyes soften, how her voice lowers. And he's tired. They meet in her apartment, the air tense before either of them says a word. Andre doesn't raise his voice, doesn't need to. He just asks straight out, "Are you still in love with him?" Donnie doesn't answer. Not right away. And that silence is all Andre needs. He starts to pack his things, not dramatically, but deliberately. Donnie tries to stop him, tries to explain that it's not that simple. But Andre is done waiting, done wondering, done being the safe choice. "I wanted a future with you," he tells her. "But I can't compete with someone who's already had your past." It cuts deep. Because Andre's right. Donnie hasn't moved on. She's been holding on to something that may not even be there anymore. And now she may have lost the one person who truly saw her future. Fallout is coming and no one is ready as Tuesday's episode draws to a close. The pieces are scattered and nothing feels stable. Chelsea walks away from the bar with Madison's number saved in her phone and a sense of unfamiliar warmth settling in her chest. Naomi leaves Vernon's house with red eyes and a renewed determination to confront her guilt, possibly even to face her father. Donnie sits alone in her living room, the door Andre walked out of still ajar, wondering when exactly she lost control of everything. And somewhere in the sterile silence of Fairmont Medical Center, Bill Hamilton stirs in his hospital bed, unaware that outside those walls, the lives of the three women who've loved him most are falling apart. But this is beyond the gates. And in Fairmont Crest, no secret stays hidden forever. The question is, when they finally come to light, what will be left standing? Stay tuned. Fairmont Crest doesn't pause. The morning after Bill Hamilton's emergency hospitalization, the town hums with speculation. But inside the Hamilton orbit, everything is raw. The surface may seem calm, but the fractures are widening. Secrets tighten their grip, relationships teeter. And no one can pretend anymore, not Chelsea, not Naomi, not Donnie. Chelsea Hamilton makes a dangerous choice. Chelsea doesn't sleep. The night after her encounter with Madison Montgomery, she lies awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of their interaction. It wasn't just a conversation, it was a pull, one she didn't expect, and one she can't ignore. She's not ready to name what it is. But it's a distraction she craves in the middle of the chaos swallowing her family whole. The next day, she texts Madison, "Want to grab lunch?" What starts as a casual meetup turns intimate fast. Madison is direct and afraid, and she doesn't tiptoe around Chelsea's mess. She asks about Bill, about the collapse, about how Chelsea's holding up, and Chelsea surprises herself by answering. There's something about Madison that disarms her. Maybe it's that she doesn't care about the Hamilton name. Or maybe it's the way she looks at Chelsea, like she sees someone worth saving. By the time the check comes, Chelsea has downed 2 glasses of wine and said more than she's told her own sister. Madison leans in close, fingertips brushing Chelsea's wrist. There's a pause charge, and for a split second, Chelsea lets herself forget. Forget the hospital. Forget the guilt. Forget the judgmental eyes that always seem to follow her in this town. Later that night, they kiss. It's slow, intentional, and just dangerous enough to wake something Chelsea hasn't felt in years. But when she goes home and finds Naomi sitting on the front porch, wrecked and distant, Chelsea realizes that this secret, whatever it is, will not stay in the shadows forever. Naomi Hamilton confronts Haley and herself. Naomi's guilt reaches a breaking point. Vernon's words echo in her mind, but they don't quiet the storm. She needs something more, words, closure, maybe even a fight. So she drives to the hospital, not to see her father, but to find Haley. Haley is standing at the vending machine, her posture tired but still proud. Naomi doesn't wait. "You weren't there when they brought him in," Naomi says coldly. Haley turns. "I was working. I got there as soon as I could." That's not what Donnie says. The words land like a slap. Haley's mouth tightens. "Oh," Donnie says. Of course she does. She's practically moved into his hospital room. Naomi doesn't back down. "Because she actually gives a damn. And you think I don't," Haley snaps. "I'm his wife, Naomi. I'm pregnant with his child. But no one in your precious family ever thought I'd be enough," Naomi falters. For a moment, all the sharp edges in her voice fall away. He shouldn't have left Donnie like that. He shouldn't have married you in the middle of everything. Haley's eyes soften just a little. "Maybe, but he did. And I stayed. Even when he got sick. Even now. It's not a truce, but it's something." As Naomi turns to leave, Haley calls out, "You don't have to like me. But don't pretend I don't care about him." That's not fair. Naomi doesn't respond. But the words follow her all the way back to her car. Donnie Dupree faces her past and breaks the future. Donnie spends the morning avoiding her phone. Andre's contact flashes every hour, but she doesn't answer. She can't. She doesn't know what to say. Everything between them feels cracked now, and even if she could explain, she's not sure it would make a difference. Instead, she visits Bill. The room is quiet, machines softly beeping, light filtering through cheap blinds. Bill is awake this time. He turns his head slowly as she walks in, his eyes finding hers. "You came back," he murmurs. "I always do," she says, placing a hand on his. They talk softly, cautiously. He asks about Naomi, about Chelsea. Then he asks about Haley. "She's managing," Donnie replies, lips pressed thin. "And you?" he asks. She doesn't answer right away. "I'm trying," she finally whispers. Bill smiles faintly. "I made a mess of everything, didn't I?" "You did," she replies. But she squeezes his hand. "They don't say I miss you. They don't say I still love you. But it's there in every pause, every shared glance, every silence too heavy to be anything else." That night, Donnie finally calls Andre. He doesn't pick up. She leaves a voicemail. "I don't know how to fix this, but I don't want to lose you. Please call me back." But Andre is already packing for a flight out of Fairmont Crest. Business, he says to himself. But he knows better. He just needs distance from Donnie, from the drama, from the man she clearly isn't over. The fallout begins by week's end. Fairmont Crest is buzzing. Chelsea and Madison are spotted together again, closer than friends. Naomi is seen leaving the hospital in tears after another long visit with her father. Haley begins quietly moving some of her things back to her mother's house and willing to share space with a husband who can't seem to let go of his past. Donnie tries to hold everything together, but the cracks are visible. And Bill lies in his bed, listening, watching, waiting. He knows the storm is far from over. The Hamilton name still means something in this town, but maybe not what it used to. What once stood for legacy now whispers betrayal, secrets, and shattered loyalties. Every family member is spinning in a different orbit, and no one is sure who's holding the center anymore. But the gates of Fairmont Crest don't close easily. And next Tuesday, when a new face from Bill's past returns and drops a bombshell that could rewrite the family's history of everything they think they know is going to explode. Stay tuned. The worst is yet to come.